If I was going to suggest to you the one sentence said to a creator that is the most rewarding, it would be this one. I love your work. Is there any chance I can commission you to make me one? This is a turn potpourri bowl with a trinity knot hand carved into the lid that I made previously, and I've been asked to make another one. So let's chainsaw, shave, fit, draw, cut and carve one. But as in true W creation style, we should never be afraid to say, not happy, to make sure it's as unique and as crafted as before. Voila! Look at that!
Week off or week you not, but I can assure you with
Yeah. Not happy. All right. Alright, so we've had a bit of a pivot moment, as we call it. The initial idea was to make the bowl out of this spalted triary, which could still be a possibility, but what I didn't like about it is, unfortunately, we've got pith running through the middle of the block. It's actually running at an angle through the block. I thought hopefully by cutting it out I could get most of that out, but unfortunately we're not. And while it might be relatively stable, I just don't know how it'll perform over time. My gut is telling me over time it'll crack and open up around these pith areas. So I'm going to mothball that idea, and as you've seen, what I've done here is I've started working on a lovely piece of carry. This is native carry out of New Zealand. And it's beautiful clean grain, and it should make a lovely bowl, and I don't have any concerns about it failing over time. So yeah. I think we need to invest in something to sharpen these. So off I went to my favourite woodworking shop, which is Carbotech in New Zealand, and I brought myself a little bench grinder, and on one side it's got a 40mm aluminium oxide wheel at 80 grit, and then I put on the other side a CBM grinding wheel, which is a cubic boron nitrate synthetic abrasive. Built myself a little stand for it with a 40-degree angle, and this is what I'll use to sharpen the chisels. Seems to be doing a pretty good job too. You have to remember as well, is I'm no chisel sharpener and I'm no wood turner. I'm basically learning as I go. So All these little things just help the process and help you move forward in the quality of the work that you output. I'm working on the bottom of the bowl here, just putting in a bit of mortise to fit the chuck into. Alright, should hold. Now we'll rough turn the outside of the bowl. Okay, to start. It's going to be a nice sized bowl, that, with the lids. Potpourri bowl. Nice. Alright. Now we just flip it around, put it into the chuck, and we'll turn the inside out. 10mm in from there, and then we want a 10mm bottom. So about that is the depth of the bowl we want. So I marked it off with a bit of tape. Drill the centre out to the depth, and that's what we turn to. Alright, it's pretty good. Alright. That's the inside done to 220. I don't think I need to take the inside any further than that. Alright, next thing is we've got to cut a rim onto this for the lid to slip onto. Once that's done, we can then start working on the lid. But yeah, getting there. Cool. Now it's time to work on the lid, which we're fixing onto the base plate. Now the lid I've cut directly off the top of the bottom, so that hopefully when it's all turned and put together, there'll be a grain linkage between the lid and the bottom, so you'll have, it'll look like the whole, it's been taken out of the whole piece. That's the theory behind my thinking and what I'm trying to achieve. Excellent. The next stage, I cut a recess in here, and then that's got to fit onto there like that. We'll flush the face off and then cut the recess out. Now this is probably the most nerve-wracking of the process, because if this doesn't fit tight, I can't turn the two components as one to turn them together. I want a friction fit here, so it's got to be tight. So the secret here is just tiny little bits off the edge till you get it just right to fit. Beautiful. Put a little more like that. Right. I think that's pretty good, actually. What do you think? I think that's pretty good. I think we're ready to start sanding. So I'll just sand through the grits here. You can see coming up here there's a bit of a divot in the lid that I wasn't happy with, so I put the bracket back on and just chiseled out that divot and then re-sanded it. So I sanded it through the grits, 120, 180, 240, 320, took it up to that level to this point. Tricky bit here is levering the lid off too, because it is a very snug fit. So just had a bit of a knife blade here which I gradually worked into the groove, and then slowly levered the lid off, working around the top. And this stop made sure that I didn't dent or damage any of the edge of the rim. There we go. Nice. All right. Next thing to do is carve the trinity knot into the lid. First thing I've got to do here is I've got to find center, so I made a 90 degree with a 45 so I could find the center of the lid. Now all I've got to do is draw the triquetra into the lid. A big shout out here to the YouTube channel Lou Davis Drawing for the video on how to draw linked Celtic triquetra knots. This 6-sided triquetra that I'm putting into the lid is based on one of Lou's videos. So check her out if you're trying to figure out how to draw one of these, because they are a bloody complicated thing to try and work out. Alright. That's a pretty mind-bending thing to try and sketch out. So we've sketched that out. Next thing is we'll drill some holes and cut out the excess space. This certainly wasn't a fast process. It had to be just taken little bits at a time and gradually cut each piece out, and basically just slowly work my way through the pattern. There's no way of rushing it, and just had to sit back and take my time and make sure it was done right, because if I cut it wrong now, there's no going back. You can see here, this is the cutting speed that I had to use to cut each of these pieces out. I definitely found out that if you tried to rush this, you'd be burning through blades like mad. I don't know, I think I must have broken 5 or 6 blades during this process, purely because I started to push the blades and try and go a bit quicker than they were designed to go. Boy, that took forever. Alright, where to start? Well, just start, I suppose. This would be my favourite part of the build. I enjoy carving, and wood carving especially. To me, it's, well, I don't know whether there's a secret to it or not. You're generally just trying to carve away what shouldn't be there. You'll see by the process here, I basically start by taking away the main intersections, still leaving it quite square and blocky. And then once I've taken all the main intersections out, I'll then start rounding everything off, and then by my eye trying to make it all smooth it all out, so the carving just flows nicely. The other important thing, of course, is make sure your chisels are sharp. That's the most important thing here. If they're sharp, they're going to make the job a lot more pleasant and easier. Final touches on the bottom. A lot of people would ask, well, why are you bothering to do this? No one ever looks at the bottom, but to me it's just a little bit extra, just to finish it off a little bit more professionally and make the whole thing as a finished unit, not just the stuff you can see. I'm finishing it with Danish oil. This is a pretty simple process, that's why I like using it. I'll oil it and then let it soak for a couple of minutes, 10 minutes or so, and then I'll buff off the excess and then let it dry. And then between coats I'll use some 444 wire wool just to take off any nibs and that sort of thing, and then repeat the process. This piece got 3 coats of the Danish oil. But really, the wood really is quite spectacular. The Chintura on this wood is quite stunning. And to finish, I'll give it a coat of wax. Basically, buff this on and then let it harden and then buff it off. This really gives it a lovely finish and a subtle touch, so it feels really nice to touch. It's done. And that's the finished piece. The client was exceptionally happy with it. I'm happy with it. It's come out really, really nice. A lot of work, a lot more work than I thought was going to be in it, but that's a bit of me and my project creep and making a bit more complication on the tricutra knot on the top, but it's come out really good. The chatoyance in this carry is just stunning, as you can see in the light here. As you turn the bowl it just changes colour. Yeah, real beautiful piece. The grain looks really good, matched to the lid. It flows from the lid to the main bowl, and I was really happy how that turned out. But very pleased with the piece, and I know the customer is very pleased with it as well. So thanks for getting this far in the video with me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Let me know in the comments what you think. You know, hit the thumbs up if you like what you see. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoy the channel, and as always, I appreciate your support. Sorry as well for the delay of getting the videos out. Limited time in the shed, and when projects like this sort of extend out, it sometimes makes videoing and getting videos out a bit harder. But anyway, on to the next project.